Vince McMahon turned 76 years old on August 24th, which is coincidentally my birthday. And with all these rumors swirling that that his health is going bad, or he's going to sell out, or any of a number of things, I'm going to bring up tonight what I believe is his greatest legacy. No, the legacy is not his wrestling, not the art form, because to me that has devolved into an era of CGI and special effects, which is not an insult toward his production values, because it's always been above board. That's always been the very best. Back in the 80s, it was the very best. It was always 2-3 years ahead of anybody else, always. And that's because he actually put money straight back into his business while every other promoter sat on their money. So he was well ahead of the curve on something like that. That's just what that was. He busted, to his credit, Vince McMahon busted his ass. So you can't say anything about the production values because he earned all those. No, the biggest legacy that he has to do with a certain funeral that I have to do of a wrestler that was beloved in a locker room, and I'll tell you how that's linked. Beautiful Bobby Eaton died at 62 years old a couple days ago. And I grew up watching him in tag teams. He was the perfect wrestler. Beautifully efficient. That's probably where beautiful came from, just besides being a heel name. Awesome to watch. You learn everything. If you're a wrestler, you learn everything from him. Amazing. So, and it's like, and he was also well loved in the locker room. He was completely professional. Everybody wanted to work with him. He worked all the way. He worked from teenage years all the way into his later years when he had bad health. And that's my point tonight. This is my point tonight. When Bobby Eaton passed away a couple days ago, immediately all the wrestlers that loved him had to come through with a GoFundMe to set up his funeral. And there could have been a number of reasons. It could have been he was broke, or they had to pay their funeral. They had to go pay funeral expenses for the wife who died 3 weeks earlier, which was sad too. Very sad. So I don't quite know that part of the story. But the one part of the story I'm seeing, it's what we see more with the older wrestlers, with the older generation. A lot of them put their bodies on the line for no reason whatsoever. It looks like no reason whatsoever. Yeah, it was for us, the fan, but that's basically a selfish deal. They did it almost for no reason because they had no money left. They had nothing to live on. They had no retirement, no anything. Jesse Ventura always brings up his retirement. In Mexico, he always brings it up, and his retirement's not from wrestling. It sort of is. Actually, he sued Vince McMahon and won, and that's his retirement. But it comes from a SAG card. He got his SAG card, got his medical. That's his retirement. And everybody knows about Hulk Hogan. He made his money over the years, then he lost it and he gained it again, lawsuit and all. But he saved his money well. But we're hearing these stories of wrestlers like Bobby Eaton, like all the many, many others who had to have a GoFundMe and get help to pay for their funeral. And it's sad too, because it didn't need to happen. It did not need to happen. This is somebody who was completely professional. He should have had a job for life. Training, whatever may be. In the office, whatever. He was completely professional. He would have been on time, everything. I don't know that story of what happened, but he should have had that. But instead, struggled with finances. He died broke. And that's where I go with Vince McMahon's legacy. Vince McMahon's legacy is the fact that his wrestlers now, this generation, while I may not like the art form, they are getting their doctorates. They are finding other ways of making money. They're signing Hollywood contracts. They've got nonprofits. They've got many, many ways of making money now and keeping a living. They're all going to have a retirement in some way, outside of the people that blow their money, and there's going to be a few, but the majority are going to have a more comfortable life. And I'm not saying Vince did that on purpose or that was his thing. Who knows what did? I don't even know if that was Vince's thought process when he did all of this, when he changed wrestling. But whether he meant to or not, that's what happened. You've got a bunch of entertainers. You do have entertainers now, and no, the wrestling isn't the same. But a lot of them are going to retire properly. A lot of them have a lot more education about money. A lot of them have a lot more education about living, about retirement. They have a lot more education about everything. And that's one thing the older generation did not have. They may have had our respect. The older generation may have had our respect as far as the art form, but the real Ben also went broke. A lot of them did. And that's one thing that we can say. That's one thing that's saying that the next generation's not going to do. Because most of them are either going to retire early or get out of wrestling early and find their own way. And that is Vince McMahon's greatest legacy.